everybody that's joining us this evening. My name is Diego Mello with StratiVentures, and every other Monday, say this Monday, we have always unique topics to our real estate industry. That's why we always say always be learning, because this business is always changing and it's always good to keep yourself up to speed. Today, we have a very, very special guest, Gene Guarino with Residential Assisted Living Academy. I've known Gene already for a little while, but been following him for a good while. And so we're very fortunate to be able to have him on and to talk to us about a phenomenal industry that he's been a part of for a while. And also has grown it to a magnitude that I think it's all ears, and we all want to get to know a little bit more about you and be able to ask you questions, because as we get to meet and talk with people like Gene, we learn every day from the experiences. So today, Gene Guarino is going to talk to us about the residential assisted living, basically in a note and a message that he sent us. He calls it the silver tsunami. And in those of you that know about residential assisted living, it's about our older generation. And, you know, we have to take care of them, because obviously one thing at SBI we practice is family comes first. We're going to go ahead and welcome Gene in. And when we give you an introduction about him, so you guys can get to meet him. And then we're going to go into his presentation, and around 7:05, 7:10, we're going to open that up to questions and answers. So everybody that is joining us, this event is for you. So we do encourage questions. Ask a lot of questions. In your Zoom dashboard, your key ones are going to be the questions and answers, and then also the chat. So remember, the chat is for your moderator. We've got Enid and Oriana running around there answering any type of technical questions. But your Q&A is where you want to go ahead and put all your questions so Gene can handle them for you. Another thing is get to know SVI. You know, we're a real estate implementation company. I myself have been investing since May of 2012. And right now, I think we've hit over 1,350 members in our company. We just went national at the middle of 2020, and we're in three major cities in the state of Texas. And if you want to know more about us, feel free to go to investorrealestatetraining.com. There's many great videos and a lot of information there for you guys to know what we do. So remember, investorrealestatetraining.com, and we can sit down and get to know each other and see if we'll be a good fit for you guys. And also, here's something special. We have our new build and co-housing workshop. If you want to see if getting picked for a free seat for that, you and a partner, stay to the end of the webinar. I think Oriana is going to be notifying you guys of whoever won that seat. She's going to notify you via email. And then obviously this is a great opportunity to know more about our co-housing workshop and also new builds. So here, who is Gene? So Gene, if you don't mind, if you want to go ahead and just chime in here real quick with your video.
Sure.
Over some information here. So
there we go.
You own and operate and invest in residential assisted living homes nationally, and you're also the founder of the AO family of companies. And they include, you have the Family Legacy Homes, right? Residential Assisted Living Academy, the Assisted Living Network, Residential Assisted Living National Association, the National Convention, Residential Assisted Charitable Foundation. So not just the implementation side, we're talking about the organizational credibility and backbone of this amazing segment of the industry. Tell me a little bit about more of your background history and things that people should know about you, because I know from what I've read about you and met you before, you know, you're very family driven, because everybody in your business is literally part of your family.
They are actually either actual family or married in, or they become part of the family. So yeah, I've been doing real estate since I was 18 years old. I know that was a long time ago. I didn't paint the beard on, so it's a real gray beard. But first residential real estate was 18. First commercial was 25. I've never actually had a real job. I've always been an entrepreneur. So professional musician as a youngster, music school, recording studio, small record label. Got into the real estate as needing it for the business, started to invest in single family homes, buy and hold, fix and flip. Flash forward many years, and here we are in assisted living. And I got into this because my mom needed help and we needed a solution. So that was the entry point for me.
So you're married 34 years.
35 now. We got to update the slides. 35 years. I had an anniversary.
Congratulations. Four children and 2 grandchildren.
Yes. And all 4 of the kids work with us full time. My son-in-law, daughter-in-law, future son-in-law. So it really is a family business.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love that. I haven't been able to read your book, the blueprint, how to start your own residential assisted living business.
Oh.
Yep, but I know you always have it from the many times that I've seen you speak. Definitely, there's got to be great information in there.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're going to go over here. Do good and do well. That's your family motto.
It is.
Strongly believe that families that is somewhat of the glue that binds the nucleus of every family. If you have a motto, and people that I know that have worked with you, you really do treat that. You really you work with them as a business, as a family, because at the end of the day, you're taking care of other people's family.
Very, very true. Yeah. When it comes to the do good and do well, just so everybody knows that the motto, doing well, we all know, make a lot of money. Doing good means doing good for other people, your area, your community, the world, family legacy. So I think the older I get, the more I realize how important that is, Diego. I think a lot of people are the same way.
Very good point. Very good point. Well, topics that we're going to be talking about this evening is, generating mega cash flow from single family homes. Get twice the market rent off your long-term or low-impact tenants. Am I correct where I'm heading on this? If there's any.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And get secure ROI regardless of market cycles and fluctuations.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. So here, one thing that's really interesting, and that you really do speak about, is with 77 million baby boomers preparing to retire over the next several decades, residential assisted living now needs to become more of a comfortable lifestyle, right? Of a comfortable home style of alternative living. And this is where you said something's called a silver tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit more before you get into your presentation about why should you be paying attention to this?
Yeah, there's a quote by Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, and he's always asked, how are you so good? You're not that big or that strong or that fast. And his response, I think, is perfect for us in real estate and business and hockey too. He says he goes to where the puck is going. So when you talk about business and real estate, the baby boomers, this population itself, they're aging. And as they go through this, their final stop is assisted living. So that's what we do, is we're working with that. The baby boomers aren't even there yet. It's the generation before that. I'll show a chart in a moment. But this is the best opportunity in business and real estate for the next 20 years. And you're going to get involved one way or the other. The question is how. So tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it.
Excellent. Excellent. So with that said, sir, let's go ahead, and here's your contact information for everybody that wants to go ahead and jot that down, but we're going to play that again when we're close at the end during the Q&A. So if you want to go ahead, Gene, and take the ball and run with that, I can get you done.
You got it. You give me a little screen share permission and I'll do it.
I always miss that step. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. You got it. There we go. No worries. I think I got the right button. Do you see the screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Love it. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for inviting me. First of all, Diego, I appreciate that so much. And everybody, I'm going to give you some information, try to pre-answer some questions, but reality is it's going to spur a lot more questions. So go ahead and type those in, and some of them may be similar to others. Don't get too specific on I have a house kind of a thing, but I'm happy to answer questions you have, and I'll share the opportunity. And at the end, I'm going to make sure that you have an opportunity to get this book for free. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'll share that with you right at the end. So I'm going to jump right in. And the first thing is we have a group of companies, the AL family, the assisted living family. We own and operate, we invest in, we raise capital for, we actually launched a franchise last year. We train people how to do this themselves, and there's more coming too. But the big question I always get is, what's going to change this year? 2020 was a year, everybody said it was the year of clear vision, but everything went crazy. So it became the year of innovation, right? Trying to either survive or thrive in that. For us, it was the best year, bigger and better than we ever imagined possible, where others kind of struggled. So what's going to change this year is a question I get, 2021. And the reality is, the better question is, what's not going to change, right? Because a lot of things can change, but what's not going to change? One thing, people are aging. They're going to need help. They're going to need assistance, and having an opportunity in real estate and business and combining the two with being able to do good and do well, that's never going to change, including this year. So what we do is assisted living, and we're disrupting an industry just like Uber did with taxis and Airbnb did with hotels. The AL family is doing that with senior housing. So I'm going to share the opportunity here, but first I want to give you some charts and graphs so you can, answer the question for yourself. Where are these seniors and who are they? And so here's the demographic breakdown. In 1960, the male and female left and right, and then you've got from 0 to 85 plus. And here it is 100 years in the future, which is, we're not that far off, guys. We're just a few years away from that. So instead of about 10 million people 75 and above, by 2060, it'll be over 30 million people 65 and above. That right there are 75 and above. That is the fastest growing demographic in the world. The fastest growing demographic in the world. No group is growing faster than that group right there. It's a huge, enormous opportunity in a shift. So when we say seniors and we say assisted living, who is that? Well, the people who are in assisted living today, they're not even the baby boomers. It's the generation before that called the silent generation. So in that silent generation, the average person in assisted living was born here in this chart. Now, this shows the annual birth rate. So the annual birth rate, you can see it's in a little bit of a lull just coming out of that right there. So if I were to put a line here and say, look at this spike. That spike in population birth rate, when is that? 1945, 1946? What was that? It was the end of World War II. Servicemen came home, got busy, boom, they had a baby. They said, that was fun, let's do it again. Boom, they had another. Then they paused and said, hey, we need a house, let's build the suburbs, let's build McDonald's. And now that group itself is expanding and growing. And there they are, well, not expanding, they're just growing, aging. So this industry is amazing right now. And it's just getting better and better and better for the next 20 years. So I wanted to start with that. The baby boomers are not in assisted living today. Their parents are or were, but they're coming. They're next. So for a lot of people, what I call the silver tsunami of seniors, and I know for some, they look at that picture and it's disturbing. Well, it's either a crisis or an opportunity, depending on how you look at that. It's the same coin, and we can look at the same glass and say it's half full or half empty. I look at everything as an opportunity. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And when I say residential assisted living, your first thought for some of you is, what is it you're even talking about? So I'm going to give you a definition so you have some understanding. It's a group residence. It's not one senior in one home. It could be 10 seniors in one home. A group residence for seniors that provides assistance with their activities of daily living. So they're not tenants. We're not providing a tenant-landlord relationship. We're providing a service. We're providing care for their activities of daily living. So it's an ADL. Pretty much everything you did today after you hit the snooze alarm: bathing, eating, drinking, medication management, housekeeping, and so on. Rest assured, nobody moves into assisted living unless they need assistance. So what does it look like? Well, this is what most people think. Whenever I say senior housing or assisted living, they think of a nursing home, and they think of an old converted hospital or institution where you'd walk through the front door and can smell the neglect. Well, that's not what we do. Or they think of the show from the 80s called The Golden Girls. Now, that's a good model right there for taking a rental property and doing a group home where they're independent. They don't need care. But that's not what we do. It's right in between. It is a single family home in a residential setting, but it's a single family home, not a 4-unit, not a multi-unit, not a motel. It's a home in a neighborhood. Now, to answer one of the questions, do you have to do a single level home? The answer is no. But if you have them, that's a great way to go, because I don't even want to climb the stairs. So if a senior has mobility issues and there's no stairs, that's a better piece of real estate to be working with. But inside the home, it's just like your home. One of the differences, instead of renting it out to a family, a mom, a dad, 2 kids, and a dog, it's a group of seniors. You furnish the home for them. So they don't bring their furnishings in. You furnish the home and they move in. So think of your home and imagine a group of seniors living there. What would you have to do to make it safe for them and easy for them to go around the house and use the house and live comfortably? So maybe wider doors and smooth floors and smoke detectors, or maybe fire suppression. But the furnishings are just like your home. But one of the things you'll do is you'll kind of use furniture that they're comfortable with. So notice it's not IKEA or modern furniture. It's more like somebody who was born in the 20s and 30s and 40s. That's what we're looking for. So I mentioned Wayne Gretzky going to where the puck is going. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, foreclosures, REOs, short sales were hot. Then it was McMansions and mini homes, and they were hot. But not what's happening today. What's going to happen in 10 years and 20 years? Senior housing. It's the place to be. So what's the best way to participate? Well, really, there's two distinct opportunities. One's a real estate play, and I'm going to explain that one to you tonight. And the second one is a business play. And I'm going to share a little bit about that tonight, at least the opportunity side, so I know you can see it. So when I say the real estate play, we have a program where you can become a preferred real estate provider. That means somebody who understands the industry of senior housing so they can provide the real estate to lease to an operator for the assisted living. You can generate tremendous cash flow, maybe getting twice the market rent with a long-term low-impact tenant. They're probably going to want a 5-year lease with renewals, and you can pass the maintenance on to that tenant. So little or no maintenance. And as you take a look at that screen and you read those words, I think you'd agree with me, that right there is the holy grail of rental properties. Long-term tenant, low impact, not trashing the house, little or no maintenance at twice the market rent. It truly does not get any better than that. So I'm going to share that with you. But when we talk about the formula, really there's 3 letters, and I'm going to spend a little time on that. OLO. The first one is, well, I'll go into it a little bit later. So here we go. When I say I already did the introduction, so thank you so much for that, Diego. I've been doing real estate since I was 18, first commercial property at 25, 20 plus businesses in the last 40 plus years. In addition to all that, I'm a certified financial planner for over 25 years in the US and about 10 years even in Australia. So I understand business, but I've also trained people how to be successful in business and real estate. I've trained over 300,000 people worldwide, and I've written books and hosted radio shows, the books on assisted living, The Insider's Guide to Investing in Senior Housing, which is a great book. If you want to learn how to invest in, you can get that book on Amazon. And then the other book that I said I'm going to share with you how you can get a copy of that one here. And that book itself is the Blueprint, how to open up your own residential assisted living business. So I'll share with you how you can get that at the end of the presentation. In addition to that, I've been married for 35 years, 4 incredible kids and 2 grandkids. So that's me on a personal side. But the 3 best ways to participate. There's 2 sides, the real estate and the business. You can do both, or you can do either or. So when we talk about the 3 best ways, the first one is own that real estate and lease it to an operator. So one of the questions I get all the time is, Gene, how do I find an operator who's willing to pay me twice the market rent with a 5-year lease? Well, one way is obviously come to one of our trainings. We literally just had one this weekend, just finished last night. We had about 100 people in the room. Yes, it was an in-person live training. We're open here in Arizona. Come on out and enjoy. We also do virtual trainings. But sitting in a room of people, some want to own the real estate and some want to operate the business. Most want to do both. But one way is to come to the class. Another way is to approach somebody who's already in the industry. Now in Texas, you can have up to 16 people in a single family home doing this residential assisted living model. That's considered a small home in Texas. Everything is bigger there. So when I talk about number 1, you can lease the real estate. I'm going to go into that a little bit more. When I talk about being a preferred real estate provider, those are some really significant benefits right there. As a matter of fact, getting twice the market rent might allow you to cash flow a bigger, better, nicer property that you'd really like to buy, but you can't just rent it out to the average family and make it work. So I'll show you how to make that work. 2, the second option or best way to get into this industry, own the real estate and operate the business. I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. And then the third is to be a private lender or joint venture partner so you can participate on the money side. See, I know that some of you just want to write a check and receive checks. We can show you how that's done. Or some of you are saying, I really want to be in this business, but I don't want to be in the business. don't want to be hands-on, don't want to be involved, don't want to know anything about it. I just want to invest money and get a share of the profit. So that's the third way. So there's three different ways, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time digging into the second way and the first way, the real estate side. So this one, how much does it cost to move into assisted living? Now, I think it's a great place to start because I'm going to start to give you the math and numbers and you can see it, but where do the numbers come from? This website, this company, Genworth, they're a long-term care insurance company. Long-term care is for people moving into assisted living. So long-term care, Genworth is a private company. They sell long-term care insurance. So on that website, if you were to go there, it's going to tell you the average in America today for 1 month per person per month is $4,300 average across America. Now, we don't focus on Medicare and Medicaid, which is much less expensive. And we're not looking for the person who's charging $10,000, $20,000 a month in Beverly Hills. There's those people too. So when I say an average of 4,300 Texas, well, you're getting more than that in many areas of Texas. But I'm going to show you some of those numbers right now. Which states have the highest rates in assisted living? Because I'm in Arizona, you live someplace, but you can do this any place. 31% of the people that came to our national convention last year, when we asked them, where do you own your home? In your own backyard, your own city, your own state, or out of state? 31% said we do it remotely, out of state. You don't have to live next door. But which ones are the highest rates in the country today? Well, California, Hawaii, Maryland all average 5,000. Kansas is 5,090. Vermont is 5,310. Washington State is 5,750. Maine is 5,942. Massachusetts is 6,085. Connecticut, notice there's a lot of New England there. More expensive real estate, taxes are higher. All of that raise the cost, which gets passed on to the residents. Then you got Alaska, everything's more expensive. You have to fly it in or ship it in. You take a plane to go to the doctor. Back to the Northeast, New Jersey, New Hampshire, 6,650, and Delaware, currently, according to Genworth, is the highest. But I put an asterisk there because Washington, D.C. is not reported yet. They are always the highest. Last year, they were over $11,000 a month in Washington, D.C. So I'm sure they will be the highest once they report. But this is per person per month. You might have 16 people in your home. So I'm going to go through some of that math so you can see what that looks like. And the question is, could just one of these homes, just one, set you off so you're financially free? Well, let's go through it. And I want you to think average. Let's say it's an average home, average America, $4,300 per person per month. Let's say you had 10 residents. You might have more or less, but that's an easy number to use. Easy math, that's potential gross income of $43,000. Well, what are the expenses to operate this business? Besides the real estate, what else is there? Well, really, it's just like your home budget because you're supplying all of the things that those seniors will use, like cable, internet, phone, newspaper, magazine, food and supplies, activities. The caregivers, we pay for that. So we take care of the caregivers and the manager and all of that. Your expenses on that average home might be $28,000 a month. I'm going to put up another number though, $18,000. The difference between those two is $10,000, obviously, but it's really the difference between doing it all yourself and hiring other people to do it. You see, I know some of you have heard about residential assisted living. Maybe you've heard about somebody who's doing it as a business. And you're saying, I don't want to do what they do because they live in the house. They're the manager. They're the caregiver. They're the cook, the baker, and the candlestick maker. I don't want to do that either. And I am not teaching you how to do that. So we're going to do the 28,000. So if I use that 28,000, what I'm really looking for, and I want to throw this in, is 20 to 30% of the top line, that 43,000, to come to the bottom line. So 20 to 30% margin is what I'm really looking for. So let me show it to you this way. Let's say it's that average house. 4,300 times 10 is potential gross income of 43,000. Let's use the high end of the expenses, the 28,000. One more item, the debt service or rent. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I'm not giving you legal or accounting advice. What I do is I own the real estate in one entity and I operate the business in a separate entity. The operations entity leases the real estate from my real estate ownership entity. So whether I own it or I'm leasing it from somebody else, we'll call it rent. But debt service, obviously, if you have a note, a mortgage, you're making a payment, that's what it would be. Now, in America today, the average home in America today is $340,000. The average rent in America today is $1,865. But let's just say it were $2,500. And I said you can charge twice the market rent. Even if you did charge twice the market rent and it's $5,000, that operator of the residential assisted living business is netting $10,000, $120,000 a year from a single family home. And they're not the manager. They're not the caregiver. They're not sucked in and living there day to day, 40, 60, 80 hours a week in that business. Now, I want you to think a little bit nicer because 4,300 is the average. I know some of you, if I were to ask, how much are you paying for assisted living for a loved one, a parent or a grandparent? If you knew, you probably might say things like 5,000, 6,000, 8,000. So let's just think a little bit nicer, 5,500 times 10. Your expenses don't change. The caregivers get paid the same. The house itself, we might have a little bit nicer house and double the rent, 7,000 a month, but now you're netting 20 or 240 a year. But you're in Texas, so I want you to think bigger and nicer. Let's say you got 15 residents and it's a nice home in a really nice area, maybe even specializing in memory care where you charge more, they stay longer, and they move in younger. So now your potential gross income is $105,000 a month from a single family home. Now your expenses might be higher because maybe we'll hire an extra caregiver, or maybe have a chef on staff with a white jacket and a white hat and filet mignon and shrimp and amazing entertainment. Let's go from 28,000 to 50,000. You don't have to go that high. I just want to make the point. Even if you went all the way up to 15,000 in debt service or rent, you're netting 40 or 480 a year from a single family home doing residential assisted living. So when I say do good and do well, you're doing really well. Doing good, we get thank you notes from families saying, here's a check for 6, 7 grand, and thank you for taking care of my mom, my dad. That's powerful stuff. So when I talk about nicer, I'm going to give you 5 levels, because when I say nice, I want you to think of the nicest area in town where the mansions are, all the retired athletes live, and the most expensive homes in your area. Consider that a level 5, top of the top. Level 1, the other side of the tracks, where you wouldn't even slow down the car, let alone let mom live there. Now, that's not what we're going to do. We don't want level 1. We don't want level 5. Our focus, our goal, our sweet spot is level 3 and level 4. Above the middle, but not the top of the top, the cream of the crop. That level 3, level 4, dollar-wise, might translate to $4,000 to $8,000 per person per month. So $4,000 to $8,000 per person per month, that's really our target. That's our sweet spot. All over the country, those numbers work. So there's a real estate play and a business play. On the business side, I just shared with you, you can make some seriously good money. But Gene, how about if I just want to do the real estate? How do I lease it to the operator? What does that look like? Well, again, I'm going to talk about this preferred real estate provider program, and I'm going to give you this formula. And why become this? Well, low impact tenant, long-term tenant, little or no maintenance, get twice the market rent. Now, I'm going to ask you a question before I give you a little graphic to prove the point. How much do you need to be financially free? I remember the first time I met Robert Kiyosaki with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He asked me a question. He said, Gene, what's your number? And I said, how do you mean? He said, how much do you need flowing into your bank account each and every month to pay all of your bills? First, I thought to myself, that's a pretty unique question. What's your number? So when he said monthly, I had to think about that for a moment, but I said, well, to take care of the house, the car, the food, the fun, the kids, and so on, if I had 10,000 a month. Now, some of you might be saying 5,000 a month or 20,000 a month, but most people that I talk to across the country, 10,000 a month is kind of a magic number. A lot of people are like, yeah, if I had 10,000 a month coming into my bank account, I wouldn't have to go to work. Great. Some of you need more. Some of you can do it on less. I get it. But if you can do that with a single home, why not? I just showed you how. But Gene, I want this real estate investing career that I've been hearing about, talking about, and so on. I'm going to explain it to you this way. The average home in America today that people use for rental property, where there's enough income to pay the expense of owning the home, maintaining the home, property manager, expense of all of the things that could go wrong, might go wrong, etc. Let's say you're getting $1,500 a month in rent. And let's just say your expenses are $1,300 a month. So your cash flow is $200 a month. So my question is, how many of those homes would you need to own in order for you to get that $10,000? Well, let's see, 200 a month. I'm going to need like 50 homes, 50 homes. That's 50 checks you got to collect. That's 50 refrigerators you got to keep running. That's 50 dogs you have to fight off. And one person taking the kitchen with them at midnight as they move out could ruin your whole month. Now, there it is, graphic as can be. And some are saying, well, Gene, the homes are more expensive in my area, or I'd rather do more expensive homes. Good. Because if you just stay on the low end of the rentals, well, we're going to get a certain clientele. But I want you to think a little bit differently. And I'm going to introduce a formula to you: 4 homes to freedom. 4 homes to freedom. Most of you are probably in a spot where you can get by, squeeze by on $10,000 a month or more. So if we just took a little bit nicer home, a little bit bigger home, maybe a little bit nicer area, maybe the rent is $2,500 a month, but the expenses are higher too because it's a nicer home, more taxes, more maintenance. Let's say it's $2,250. So our cash flow is $250. Well, $250, if I had 4 of those homes, that's only $1,000 a month. So now you need what, 4 times 10 in order to get there? So you're a little bit better off. But remember, I was talking about charging twice the market rent, twice the market rent. So if you could charge twice the market rent, not $2,500, but $5,000 instead, do your expenses go up at all? No, they're exactly the same. That doubling, all of that money goes straight to your pocket, right to your bottom line. And if you did that just 4 times, well, now you're financially free. 4 homes to freedom. And if you like the sound of that, there it is. I laid it out. What you need is the knowledge to know, who do I lease it to? How do I find them? Where should it be? And all the details that go with it. So let me give you a formula. And I created this formula because I know that some of you will love this information because it's going to be very clear. You know exactly what to look for. OLO: opportunity, location, and operator. Now I'm going to explain this for residential assisted living, but you could adjust this formula, use it for any investment that you make. So let's dig in. Opportunity. First of all, is there a need for it? Well, in assisted living, I've gone through the charts and the graphs. There's a huge need for it. Right now, there's about 1.1 million beds in assisted living in America today. They added about 50,000 beds last year, and that was the biggest year ever for adding beds. But by 2029, we're only talking 8 years from now, guys. 8 years from now, they're expecting a need of 2.3 million beds. If they add 50,000 beds a year for the next 8 years, that's only 400,000. They need 1.2 million. That's a crisis for some and an opportunity for us. Second piece, what's the current demand in your area? So in other words, how many people are there that are of age? How many of them will need assisted living? We know the exact formula, so we can calculate that. This zip code within this area, the ages, how many of them are 65 and above, how many of them will need assisted living. So we know those facts and those figures. The third, to the fundamentals work. In other words, can I charge enough so I can make a profit? And I've gone through the numbers so you can see that very clearly. And the answer is oh, yes, you can charge enough to make a very significant profit. So opportunity. Second is location. And it's the demographics that's key. It's not oceanfront, riverfront, mountaintop, not that at all. It's who lives there, how much do they make, and what age are they? And then the current competition. How many beds? What's the quality? What are the rates? And then the future opportunity. Are people moving in or moving out? You guys are fortunate. People are flocking to your state. California, not so much. The people who are flocking there, they're not able to afford a whole lot. They've got a whole different opportunity. They're building shacks and sheds in their backyard to rent out cheap to people who shouldn't even be here. I think you know what I mean. So the future opportunity in your area, we know how to calculate that. I already showed you the sweet spot of what to focus on. In addition, the operator, probably the most important piece. Past experience is the best. If you have somebody who's already in the business and they want to expand, that's tremendous. Or somebody who is getting in the business and they've been trained and they have support, that is your second best. We just had 100 people in a class this weekend. We do those trainings 8 times a year and they're always sold out. So that training and support, we know the people that are getting into this industry that might want to be your tenant, lease the house from you at twice the market rent, taking care of the maintenance with a long-term lease. Those classes themselves are so much fun, and we love teaching in a real-world environment. The students in that room, many of them move on to become support for our future students. And I love that fact because our whole team is based on doing it in the real world, not talking about it, not thinking about it, not what I did 20 years ago, but what I'm doing right now. So the final piece for the operator, is there an alignment of values? And if you have heart and somebody else doesn't, not a good fit. And if you're all about business and they're all about heart, not a good fit. There has to be an alignment of values so that you can do this properly. So that formula, 3 steps: opportunity, location, and operator. Now I know tonight I've touched the tip of the iceberg and you got a lot of questions. So we're going to go into that next. But for those of you that are saying, hey, I would like to learn more about this, I'm going to give you a website. It's very simple, and I highly encourage you to write this down: RAL101.com. RAL, Residential Assisted Living 101.com. And when you go there, number 1, free gift, you can download a copy of Blueprint. If you want to buy a copy, go to Amazon and they'll send it to you. But if you want to download a copy and read it, go right there, RAL101.com. There's also a series of webinars you can watch, and there's a phone number that you can call. Feel free to do any or all of those right there. So at this point, I've shared some information to kind of spur the thoughts. And Diego, I'm ready for Q&A anytime that you are. So there it is.
All right. Well, Gene, every single time that I hear you talk, especially from the last time, I think when we did the webinar with residential assisted living, of looking at your existing residents and turning that into an operating vehicle for another person that has gone through your curriculum, your training, and most of all the support, that opens up massive amounts of opportunities. Because one of the things that we're working with a fellow company here for co-housing is that we're the ground floor unit for the state of Texas of building these units. And so everybody asks me, what happens after we get through the co-housing? I'm like, have you ever thought about assisted living? And so this kind of falls hand in hand, knowing that, like, you're correct, the state of Texas is really drawing a lot of people.
Yeah.
I myself just made a bunch of notes, which, I mean, you totally blew me away with the tenant rent to the operator. I was going to send you a direct email and saying, I'd like for you to take a look at some inventory that we've got, which might help a lot of placement of the people that are potentially working with you, going to work with you, or already existing to work with you. So I'm excited.
Good.
I'm super. I know a lot of our SVI members are going to be asking me more questions, but I can definitely tell you, I really want to thank you because you really put a lot of vision into this. That's going to help a lot of people.
You're welcome.
Want to make this happen. So let's go off. Let's do some questions here. So we've got a couple people sending us some information via chat. It says, let's start with the first one here, is what zoning issues would be encountered?
So every location is different when it comes to zoning. Zoning is very local. So the first thing is you need to know the location you're going to be in. Then you want to learn what we call the rules of the game. How many people can I have and what is the process to get through that? Really, there's 3 elements to get that license and the ability to do it. The house needs to be safe for seniors. You need to have the right documentation, and you need to have somebody qualified to operate that business. So those are the 3 elements there. And the zoning, it's single family, not multifamily, not commercial, single family. That's the residential model that we use.
Okay. We have somebody asked, how much money do we need to start investing in this?
So the answer is it depends. And if you're saying investing, if you just want to write a check and be a part of somebody else's deal, it just depends on what their minimum requirement is. But if you're saying if you want to own the business and operate, number one, the real estate is the biggest expense. So if you were to work with Diego and they provide the real estate and you lease it from them, well, that very little, right? Whatever it
Right.
takes to lease it. Then it's the startup cost of the business and the reserve capital, and understanding those numbers is incredibly important. One of the biggest mistakes, if you will, that people make in starting a business is they're undercapitalized. They don't know what they don't know. So we really spend a lot of time teaching people that. So it's a big depends. I apologize. It's a vague answer, but that's the real answer.
But that is the real answer. And the following question Ms. Rosa Alvarez said is, what is the Academy about, and is there a fee to join? Well, you just said something, Gene, which was an business expense, startup capital for your business. Mm-hmm. Education and knowing you're going to do this right is worth it. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs got lucky because their business thrived. Can you imagine if they were educated and guided and put on the right path?
Yeah.
Thriving isn't even a word. We're talking about explosion of success. So yeah. Yes, there's absolutely a value towards what you guys are doing, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And just to directly answer that, yes, we charge money to attend the Academy. Go to that RAL101.com and you'll learn all about it there. But you said something really important, the idea of what you don't know. And, we teach how to create a business plan. That's one of the things we do in our 3-day training. And most people, let's be honest, don't do a business plan. They just start and they go. Well, number one, that's like going somewhere without a map. And you're probably old enough to remember paper maps like I am, right? Today we use GPS, right? But these paper maps, in the old days, if you didn't have that, you wouldn't know how to get somewhere. GPS, same thing. So if you don't even know where you're going, you may get there, you may not. You may get there slower. It could have taken a faster route. But the other part is raising capital. If you want to go to the bank and borrow money to start a business, you need a business plan. If you want to get investors to invest in your deal, you need a business plan. So yeah, important stuff.
And that business plan, in the eyes of somebody that's going to entrust you, says you took the time to build the credibility and also show your path and structure. That already gets you another step inside. So very, very, very much needed. We have a gentleman here asked, and by the way, Rosa, that was a very good question. Thank you. Nice. Stephen Lloyd asked, any suggestions for caregiver management companies in Texas?
One of the... I'm gonna add more to it if it's all right. The idea of, people always ask, what's one of the biggest challenges in this industry? And I'm always going to answer people, right? Whether it's the residents, the caregivers, the families of the residents, the managers, it's always people. Real estate's easy. It's bricks and sticks, dirt and mud, knock it down, build it again. It's humans, right? We're the ones who mess things up. So how do you find these people? Well, first of all, if you were to ask me that question a few years ago when unemployment was 3.5%, harder than it is when it's 7%, right? But I'm always looking for the right people. So even when it was 3.5% or even less in some areas in the country, you're always looking for the right people. This person that's going to be a caregiver is not going to be a barista. They're not going to be working at the retail store. They love seniors and they want to work with them. So knowing how to find the right people, find them, etc. There are locations that train caregivers. There's caregivers in the industry that you can get referrals from. There's a number of different ways, but it's not just a caregiver. It's the right people that we want to attract.
Okay. Question here was, what about, Mark Fletcher asked, what about ADA, and do you need to be close to hospitals on any of these properties?
Yeah. So ADA is adults with disabilities. So the Adults with Disability Act was to help, to require employers to have a business that is safe and accessible for someone with a disability to work there. We can't have somebody with a disability taking care of somebody with a disability. So our homes don't need to be ADA compliant, but we want them to be senior safe. So grab bars near the toilets and the showers, smoke detectors, etc. So not ADA compliant, but senior safe. And the second part of that was the idea of close to hospitals. The answer is no, that's not a big requirement. And let me explain why. I understand why somebody would ask. It's like, well, these people are seniors. They must be going to the hospital every day. No, if they were going to the hospital every day, they should be in a nursing home or a skilled nursing facility. This is not the Golden Girls, but it's not a hospital. It's right in between. It's people who really shouldn't be at home alone, but they don't need medical attention daily. So let's just say you did have a care home literally across the street from a hospital. They're still going to send an ambulance to bring grandma across the street to the hospital. So whether you're 100 yards away or 10 miles away, it really doesn't matter. And in most areas in the country, certainly where you would open a residential assisted living, there's going to be a hospital within 10 or 20 miles, no doubt.
Yep. A gentleman here asked, Mr. Jeff Whitaker asked, can you talk a little bit about liability? Basically,
Sure.
Injuries on the property, etc.
Great question. It always comes up. And there's really two parts. One, remember I said I do two entities. I'm not saying you could, should, whatever, but one entity, the real estate. You have the normal umbrella liability policy over there for sure. On the other side, the business operations, we want a special kind of insurance. It's a business liability insurance. That business liability insurance specifically for the residential assisted living is not medical malpractice. We're not medical. That's not it at all. The cost of that insurance, $1 or $2 a day per person. So if I have 10 residents, 30 days in a month, $500-$600 a month, it's a line item. So that insurance itself, the state may not even require you to have it. But if you're my student, I do. You got to have it. It's silly not to. So spend the money on the insurance. It's professional liability insurance for this specific industry.
Excellent. And we have here Mr. Eric Hybert asked, and I might not know these acronyms here, any NIMBY issues or obtaining insurance on the property?
Good. And you know what? Before I answer that, I want to add one more piece to the last one, because the reason why whoever it was who asked the question about liability is you're wondering is, are you getting sued all the time, right? Or people falling, dying, and so on. Here's the deal. You can choose who moves into your home. You can say no to anybody. Many times, if somebody wants to move into our homes and the manager does an assessment of them, many times if we decide not to let them move into our home, it wasn't because of the resident. It wasn't because of their need or their care. It was the family. If the family's expectations are too high or they're high maintenance people, we can just say no. We want great people. We want people that want to work with us. So we avoid those problems at the very beginning. I've literally trained thousands and thousands of people around the country, and we just don't hear about lawsuits and issues because we choose the right people, we have the right insurance, and we do an excellent job. So I wanted to address that because that was really the basis of their concern, I assume.
Right. And actually, that was part of the another person's question there. They asked, do you have any lawsuits due to services provided to seniors, or I'm assuming that's all why you get that particular type of.
Yeah. And again, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people. We don't hear a lot. I personally have been involved in just one. It cost me $1,000 for the deductible. The attorneys took care of it all. I didn't have to deal with it. That's a beautiful thing. Just one in 7.5 years and not a problem. But the NIMBY question, so not in my backyard, is that NIMBY acronym. So people saying, I don't want this in my backyard. Well, tough. You know, the reality is the Federal Fair Housing Act protects us. Usually when I say to real estate investors, Fair Housing Act, they're like, oh, that's bad. No, it's good because seniors are a protected class. Disabled people are a protected class. A senior that moves into assisted living is considered a senior with a disability. It's a double protection. So we know how to go through this process. And even if the neighborhood HOA, homeowners association says, no, we don't want it, we know the rules in the area. We know how to talk the talk and walk the walk and get through that process. So you may have somebody saying, I don't want it in my backyard, but they're not informed. So I'm going to suggest once you do it, have an open house, invite that neighbor over. Once they walk through the front door and see the lovely home that you created and the environment for seniors, they may just become your biggest advocate, or they may even move one of their own loved ones in. You might even give them a discount. Anybody in the neighborhood here, we'll give you a $500 a month discount for your family member or loved one. Turn it into lemonade.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony G asked here, do you need a medical doctor on staff to look or to come check on them periodically?
The answer is that's not a part of what you have to do. We do have doctors that do house visits or nurse who provide things, or hospice-made visits on seniors, but you're not required to have a doctor or a nurse on staff.
Okay. And also it says, do each bedroom need, does each bedroom need to have a bath in it? Is that something of more of a, that you guys recommend, or?
Ah, okay. So two sides. One, the requirements. Most states say somewhere between 6 and 8 residents per bathroom. So let's just say you had 10 residents. The minimum, guys, I want you to have more. The minimum requirement would be 2 bathrooms. But picture 10 residents, 2 caregivers, a visitor or 2, and 2 bathrooms, right? I want you to have more. My homes have 9 bathrooms, 6 bathrooms, 12 bathrooms, 7 bathrooms. So you can add bathrooms easier than you might think. And then you asked a great follow-up question, what's preferable? Hey, what would be preferable is a house where you have all private rooms and everybody has a half bath, a private bath of some kind. What's realistic? Well, there's going to be some combination of shared rooms and private rooms. And the more bedrooms, the better. The more bathrooms, the better.
All right. And Tony, thank you for asking that question. Ms. Rosa, also thank you for your question. Aaron asked, is the focus on new construction or renovation for existing homes for these properties? What would you?
Yeah, the answer is yes. I started smiling because, if to get started, the fastest way to get started is find one that's for sale. The challenge is the ones that are for sale are usually in a couple of categories. One, it's too small, wrong location. They never should have opened. I would never buy it. 2, it's incredibly successful, but they're asking way too much because they're smart. 3, it's perfect because maybe they've been in business for 10 years and they're retiring, they're moving on. Maybe the house needs to be refreshed. Maybe they're charging less than they should. And those are the ones, when you find them, you grab them. But that's a part of what we teach is how to find those ones, what to ask, what is important, what should you do and shouldn't you do. So the property aspect of buying a property and renovating it versus building it from scratch, a lot of times these days, I mean, realistically, it's all about the location. If I choose a location, this city, this neighborhood, and I can't find exactly what I'm looking for, buying the lot and building it from scratch can be a great way to go. Brand new property, latest, greatest, done, built to suit just the way you want it. So either or, and that's why I said it that way.
Awesome. And Mr. Mark Fletcher asked, does he have a network of people that can assist with all the matters from beginning to end? And I know you guys do. You guys literally have support structure from the business owner mindset where I am freaking out to learning the documents and processes to get this.
Yeah. And even we have a national association. We even have free training for caregivers in there, and really more on the continuing education side for memory care and dementia. So we truly do go from beginning to end, the real estate, the business, the staffing, even to some continuing education and training.
Does it, Ms. Perez asked, does it become necessary to have a skilled nursing staff, specifically regarding, dementia type residents?
No. And, some states, not Texas, but some states say you have to have a nurse available. Well, let's pause for a second. I'm going to give you 3 words: available, on staff, and on duty. Available. All of you have a nurse and a doctor available, 911. Mm-hmm. Nurse on staff. That means somebody that you've contacted to say, if I call you when I need you and pay you $50, will you come over? Nurse on staff. Nurse on duty. That means somebody working in the facility 24/7, probably 3 shifts of 8 hours each. That's a skilled nursing facility or a nursing home. So that's never required. You always want to have somebody on call if needed. But the reality is, it's just like your own home. If there's a medical emergency, you're going to dial 911, and EMT is going to come. They're going to take somebody to the hospital. We don't do medical care inside the home. It's not what we do.
Okay, this is a question from me to you.
Sure.
Let's go in here. So my mom lives in Denver, right? In Littleton. I live in Houston. The reason why my mom is there, because she loves the nature in Littleton. She'll start going right up the mountain with Rocky, the family dog. And so if the older person in the family, the senior, says, I like Florida, and they live in Nebraska, is it recommended that more people flocking to other more location specific things? The beach, is it, did you get where I'm going?
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to answer it and then tell me if I answered your question. So here's the reality. It's most people, when they retire, will simply stay where they are. They want to be close to their family, their kids and grandkids. Some people retire to Florida or a warm weather state. But when it comes time when they're getting closer to end of life, they need assisted living. Many times they move back to where the kids and the family are. See, right now, your mom's in a beautiful area. She loves to hike, but when she doesn't need assisted living now, but when she does, when she gets to that point, you're the one who's probably going to be making the decision. And the question is, do you want to pick a place in her neck of the woods? She can't hike anymore. She can't go see the mountains and the scenery anymore. She's in that home being taken care of. Do you want to have it there? It's going to be harder for you to go visit. Maybe you'll want to move her closer to you so it's easier for you to visit. But ultimately, you're going to be the one that's going to make the decision on the location, how much it costs, and you're the one who's going to be in charge of writing the check and paying the bills.
Absolutely. And the more information you can get, the sooner the better. And obviously,
Oh, yeah.
Helps these things here. So guys, if you guys have any more questions, we're coming into 7:28, almost 7:30 here. Gene, your information is always amazing. A lot of good feedback, a lot of good reviews about your company.
Thank you.
The time, guys, for you guys to ask questions. Also, if you wanted to go ahead and let's see here. Let's get some more information about this young man right here. Let me see if you guys can see this. Let me just pop this up right here. This is Gene's full contact information. Am I correct to give this information?
Yeah, except for the emails, it'd be much better to send it to Isabel or support. I would just put support at RALAcademy because I don't even go in my own email these days.
Totally gotcha. So support at RALAcademy.com.
We will answer it. It's just it's not me that answers.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I have Oriana that handles my social media, and I have high school friends tell me, "Hey, Diego, that was a great picture," and I'm going, so I'm not big on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys got some great information. Gene, as usual, an amazing person, and congratulations to you and your wonderful family and all the work that you guys are doing. I personally, myself, I made myself some notes to get with the team. We are actively buying land. I mean, I think this past week we closed on like seven tracts of land.
Nice.
I'm going to be putting in some co-housing units. And a lot of these co-housing units, I'm already foreseeing that because they're in areas where I wouldn't put my mom.
Yeah.
Next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to put, does that make sense? So
can I ask you a quick question on that?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick one? Are you doing that specifically for seniors or is it for any kind of co-housing?
It's co-housing through our national partner Pad Split, but they're already going to be set for retrofit to go into the senior assisted living. That's
and are you raising capital? Or are you taking investors in that?
Yes, we are. Absolutely. Myself on the personal level have already going in. I think we've got I think it's 11 total. These are the new acquisitions. But always.
Well, keep me in mind. I know it's a little side, but the point is, if you're raising capital, let me know, and because those are great investments. So let me know.
Yeah, that's why I asked you that question earlier about your email that I got about the Pitchmaster Academy. I was going, okay, he's a smart man right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Gene, thank you so much for your time. If you have any closing statements, feel free to say that. If not, we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, just a real simple one. All of you who are listening right here, you came here for a reason. And it's really not the real estate. It's not. It's what that can produce for you. So I don't want you to think just about money and accumulating things. Is why are you doing it? And if you really want to do something good and help other people and make a lot of money and be at the right place at the right time, if nothing else, get at least one of these homes for yourself. So you have it for yourself or a loved one, move into the master bedroom, live for free. But if you truly want to do well and do good, get involved.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gene. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Remember, every other Monday we have the industry webinar from StratiVentures. We're always saying always be learning, so we're bringing more people to help us out here. Have yourself a wonderful evening, sir.
Thank you.